Hey there everyone, it's Joe. Welcome back to my channel. Now that Opus IV is kind of out in the wild and everyone's playing with it, I've been having a little bit of fun with it as well. I wanted to kind of outline some of the combos that I'd found, you know, through discussions on Facebook and testing a couple things out for myself that I thought that you guys might want to know about. So if you want to check out 7 really great combos from Opus IV, then stay tuned and keep on watching. Now the first combo that I want to talk to you guys about is one that I'm pretty sure a lot of people already know about because it's quite apparent, and I actually mentioned it in my video for Opus IV's quick review, and it's No-No and Zemus. Now the reason that this combo is so interesting is because Zemus was pretty much not played at all until now, and now there's a combo available between these two cards that means that there's a very, very high possibility that suddenly Zemus might be getting played now, and that the combo is that Zemus can dull itself to turn one of your forwards unblockable. No-No says whenever one of your forwards attacks, you activate one of your backups. So what you can do is attack with a forward, make a forward unblockable with Zemus, attack with that forward, which then No-No activates and reactivates your Zemus, so you can then use the Zemus on your next forward, and that renders every single attack that you play from this point onwards unblockable. So the second you have both of those cards out, your opponent is very much on a clock to take out either one of those backups or every forward you control, otherwise they're in big trouble. Now, I can see this being played a lot in Windwater, which is where you've got a lot of, you know, forwards hitting the board like Pains and Lenners, and you know, there's FF9 cards that don't necessarily have an awful lot of power, but they accumulate a lot of momentum through sheer numbers. And if all of your numbered guys are unblockable, then that gets very scary very, very quickly. So definitely worth keeping an eye out for this. Perhaps backup destruction might come into vogue again. So because No-No is a 3-drop, so it's targetable by pretty much every piece of removal for backup. So you've got Sephiroth, you've got Archer, you've got Hekaton. There's lots of different ways around this, but it's something that if you don't bear it in mind, it might catch you out. Now the second combo that I want to talk about is quite a fun combo, and it's an interesting one because I actually really like the Opus IV card that surrounds it, and this is a combo between Dadda Luma and Stoller, which are two very, very complicated words. Dadda Luma has the ability, whenever he's dealt damage, deal 4,000 to a forward. Now Stoller doesn't necessarily need to target your opponent's forwards to deal damage to them, so you just dull a Wind backup or herself to deal damage to a forward, which means that you can quadruple the output of your Stoller by dealing damage to Dadda Luma instead of any of your opponent's forwards. So you hit Dadda Luma, and then he then deals 4,000 to something else. There's not a lot that's going to survive like quadruple Stoller. That's pretty scary, and Dadda Luma's he's not resting on pretty or anything on his own. He's very, very good. He's like, when he attacks, if he's dealt damage, that's 12k he's going to deal to something through 8k of his own power and 4k from having been dealt damage. And whenever he's targeted as well, he also deals a bit of damage. That ability is probably going to be less relevant, but the point remains that this combo could be pretty lethal pretty fast. You could wipe your opponent's entire board with this through just chip damage, and because you're playing Wind and Earth already, you have all the backup destruction in the world if you wanted it to deal with cards like Aerith, Minwu, No-No if you come across that in the combo we mentioned earlier. Wind and Earth in this set get a lot of combo potential, so a lot of the combos that we're talking about will have probably one of those two colours in there. Now the third combo I want to outline, actually I wouldn't say is like some game-winning synergistic super combo or anything like that, but it does add something to an already powerful existing combo, and that's Black Waltz 3 in combination with Al-Cid. Now Al-Cid is in practically every single Lightning deck you're ever going to see for the foreseeable future, and now that he has another target that doesn't necessarily it has a board presence that's slightly different from Sage Onion Knight that he's usually playing with, or Rigdia, because he has an ability when he dies as well as when he comes in. So the power output that you have by playing Al-Cid and Black Waltz 3 will only take out something that's 8k power, but you do have a body that's slightly more resilient than Sage Onion Knight. It does mean that you can save your Sage Onion Knights for later, and being a power drop rather than a damage dealer, Black Waltz 3 also doesn't suffer or he allows Al-Cid to get around things like Minwu, Larsa, that kind of thing. So anything that would negate damage it doesn't affect Black Waltz 3, so it's definitely worth bearing in mind. You might want to drop 1 or 2 into your next Lightning deck just so you can see how many copies of Onion Knight, Rigdia and Black Waltz you want to play alongside your Al-Cids. A lot of people only play 2 Al-Cid. They might want to run 3 now because there's an extra target for him, but who knows, we'll have to wait and see. Now, the next combo I want to talk about is Wind and Water again, and it involves a card from Opus 3 that I really love, and I really would like to see played more because I think as a defensive card it's so good. And it's the new Viking and Windrake. Now, the new Viking is basically both of the old Vikings rolled into one. So it's 3 CP, which means it can't be targeted by Lena or anything, which is unfortunate, for a 2k guy, so irrelevant power, but when he comes in, you draw a card, and when he leaves, you draw a card. Now, Windrake can bounce himself and another forward you control back to its owner's hand. So therefore, you can turn your Vikings into an absolute draw machine using Windrake. I often liked using Windrake with Pain from Opus 1 anyway because it was kind of like a free play. And Viking kind of does that but better in a way, and you could do this, you could have the Viking on the board, wait for your opponent to attack you. You can slow the game right down. So for a control player, this is probably great. You can slow the game right down because you can have the Viking there, and if your opponent tries to do anything to the Viking, they're probably not going to waste their resources like summons or anything because you're going to draw a card if he dies. But if they attack and you have a Windrake out, you could bounce the Viking after declaring your block, so the block has been declared. You get the Viking back to your hand, and you draw a card for the trouble, and then if you play the Viking again, you draw another card, and then he's there to present the problem yet again. So I think it's a really cool way. And there's probably loads of other ways you can, you know, recur Vikings as well. You know, you have Scholar, which can bounce stuff to your hand. You have loads and loads of ways of doing it. But Scholar is just a really cool value card. Viking, sorry, is a really cool value card, and I think Windrake is a really cool combo piece. So having these two together to me made a lot of sense. Now, this next combo works in mono water. I know I said that Wind and Earth had a lot of combos in this set, but water does as well, apparently. Then this involves the legendary Steiner from Opus 4 and legendary Cecil from Opus 2. Now, the reason that I like these cards together, I really like Steiner anyway. I think he's a really strong card. I think that he's actually quite cheap at the moment from what I gather, but I think that he's one of these cards that's going to, you know, incrementally increase in value over time, because I think that the sheer value of this card is amazing. If you're on 3 or less damage, he's essentially a 2 CP 8k guy that can make himself bigger, and that's really cool. But if you have Cecil on the board, one of Cecil's biggest problems is how easy he is to get away, to get around on the turn that he comes out, because in order to get around his Cecil must block if possible clause, people tend to attack with him. And that's normal, and that's fine. He's a 9k guy that doesn't receive damage. So if you attack with him, you're probably doing alright. However, having Steiner on the board means that you don't have to wait that extra turn. You can attack, if you have Steiner out first and you have Cecil, you can always use Steiner's ability to dull Cecil in order to give him the extra power so that Cecil can't block anymore. So getting around that nice little kind of clause means that Cecil may end up being more powerful. You know, Cecil is a very powerful card anyway, and it's particularly with so many damaging effects going around. I mean, I've spoken about damaging abilities in this combo video, so having Cecil to counter all of that might be a really big deal. So having Steiner to help him do his job, and when Water has got so many value plays anyway, having a 5 CP guy down, my speech today is awful, you know, can counteract a ton of things. So definitely bear these two in mind when you next build your water deck. And then the next combo I want to talk about here is a card that everyone was talking about before the set's release, and that is Magic Pot. Now, Magic Pot is a very interesting card. The card screams play me in a combo deck. And I've got 2 combos for you here with Magic Pot. So this is my 6th and 7th. And my favourite plays for Magic Pot involve Zac, which means that this is the legendary Zac from Opus 3. If you were to break your Zac and replace him with a different one, you end up with Zac and Cloud. So you end up with not losing any value, but you end up with 2 guys for the price of 1. So, and then if your Cloud dies or if the other Zac dies, you can then get more Clouds. It's just more value, and it's something that Fire sorely needs in this game, is some value plays. So that's a way to get around that. And then the other play I really like is Genesis Avatar. Genesis Avatar is something I saw during X-Burst, the convention I did some work with a little while ago. And in the finals, the winner played a Genesis Avatar twice, and that means that he deals all of your opponent's forwards half their power rounded up as damage. So I sat there and I thought, well, Magic Pot surely seems like a natural fit for this, because if you have a Genesis Avatar and one in your break zone, you could just have one, play it, deal all your opponent's guys half their power, and then break it and switch it for the other one, and then board wipe your opponent. So it's like, I'm not actually the biggest fan of Magic Pot. I think it's a bit too slow, and now that monsters are such a big thing, monster removal is also such a thing. So I think it's a bit slow for me, but it's a card that I know a lot of people like, so I wanted to highlight some combos that I actually really enjoyed trying when I played Magic Pot. So hopefully you guys can take that away from this video. And then the last one, I'm doing a little extra one, it's kind of like a bonus, because this combo is more hilarious than it is actually functional. And it's Legendary Shantou from this set and Legendary Shantou from this set. If you have one on your side of the board and one on your opponent's side on the board, things get messy quickly. Because if Shantou is dealt damage, she deals damage to all other forwards except herself. And when it says Shantou, correct me if I'm wrong here, but it refers to just that singular copy of Shantou. So, if your opponent has one out, and let's say any Stoller hits your Shantou for 1,000, deals 1,000 to all other forwards, including your opponent's Shantou, which then deals 1,000 damage to all other forwards, including your Shantou, and so on and so forth. And you end up with this infinite damage combo that just wipes the entire board, but it's, you know, there's no point, it doesn't really function at all. You could just play Opus 1 Shantou and get the same effect. But it's quite funny to see the interaction between these two cards in this particular way. So I thought I'd highlight that and let you guys know because I thought it was hilarious. So that's all the combos that I wanted to show you guys today for Opus 4. If you guys have any other ideas or any other really amazing cool combos that you've discovered that I haven't shown today, then definitely leave a comment below and let me know what you found in Opus 4. And subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I always appreciate it to those who do. I kind of want to try and reach 5,000 subscribers before the end of the year, so if you guys could help me out with that by sharing the video and all that jazz, then I'd love you for it, because I really want to push this. I really want to push this channel, and I really want advice, anything that you guys can do to tell me to how to make this channel bigger, then I would love you for it. So yeah, get in contact, message me on Facebook or Twitter. I'll leave all the social links down in the description box, and that's pretty much it from me. Do expect that I'm going to be getting some gameplay videos up very soon. I've got the kit to be able to do that now properly, so hopefully you'll have that to look forward to, and I'll hopefully have more deck lists and everything else for you as well. So thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you guys soon. See you later.